we got something really special here, guys. Actually, two special items. This is from High Grain EDC. This is named the DeVille. And the DeVille is, he knocked this design out of the park. Best Tech is the OEM, and Best Tech absolutely killed it in every way. This thing, well, most ways. I'm going to say in every way. We do have some nitpicks, but you know, you know, a spoiler alert, it's really good. This is a sheep's foot blade in magnet cut steel. The HRC supposedly is 62 to 63. I'd prefer to see 63, 64. I don't think that's a deal breaker in any way, shape, or form. But anyways, the handle is, oh, sorry, back to the blade. The blade is a deep hollow ground. You can see it. Ooh, nice deep hollow ground, satin finished blade. Love to see that belt satin. This is what I love, a deep satin like this. Then we have a relatively robust blade stock, which, you know, offers, you know, the handle to be very, very ergonomic. It is a bolster lock. I like how he did, you know, the shape right here. It does complement the other lines really well. If you notice, you can see the lines here, the lines here. You know, I'm sure that was done on purpose. You got the lines here too. So all these lines really complement each other. You can really, even down to the ass end of it, you know, the way how, you know, it arcs too. Everything arcs kind of the same way, the same shape, even the lock bar. So even the front of the clip, I mean, you can tell that this was really, really well thought out. The handle is, like I was saying before, I mean, just absolutely hand melting, like very, very, very comfortable. Even this little spot right there feels like it was purposely placed, because I imagine, you know, most of us, yeah, you know, our hand sizes range, right, between small, medium, and large. But I have to imagine everybody's hand is going to fall into this really nicely, and your pinky's going to kick that right up, right into your palm in a nice, comfortable fashion. And, you know, obviously you can always choke up. Clip, I put it in and out of the pocket several times, even in my thick jeans. Works perfect. Perfect milled titanium pocket clip. Can't say enough good things about this clip. It's a great clip. Like, I want this type of clip on a lot of knives that don't have a good milled clip. Plenty of room underneath, plenty of ramp, plenty of spring. It's just, it works perfect. We do have a titanium back spacer. And obviously we have the gold carbon fiber and then the blue carbon fiber. You know, I like this one a little bit more. Typically, I'm more of a blue fan than the gold, but which this looks really good. I think if this was all blacked out with the blue, I think I'd prefer this one. But this just works. It pops. And, you know, also if they would have done the pivot collar blue, that would have really made it, especially if it was all black with the blue pivot collar, like kind of like how they did the gold, well, goldish pivot collar, yeah. Let's talk about this action, because this action is freaking insanity. I mean, just absolutely bonkers good. The access to the lock bar, extremely comfortable. Very well designed. You put a nice chamfer there with plenty of room from the side. So when you're pushing on it, you're pushing on a nice soft surface that just feels very, very comfortable. I always say this, a knife, you can absolutely make or break a knife from the lock bar access. And I mean, as far as the quality and how it feels. If you're trying to disengage a knife and you're slipping off or it's sharp, it just makes the knife feel that much less quality. It just knocks it down like so many points. And in this case, he did it so well, it brings it up a bunch of points. It just makes it feel so much more. I mean, you can take a knife that feels mediocre and, you know, do that and make that lock bar nice and comfortable, and it'll go up a couple points, at least in my book. So the disengagement's really, really nice. Nice lockup. You can hear the engagement's really nice. The geometry snaps in place, even with a nice slow roll. You can see it pulling itself in. Absolute guillotine. When you disengage it, you can let it hit your thumb and drop straight down. It does have a nice early detent, so very, very easy to do that. Then we have perfect jimping on this front flipper, at least pretty perfect. I would say, yeah, I want to say I want it a little bit sharper, but I actually disagree with myself there. I don't think so. I think it's just fine. It's got that perfect level of sharpness where it's like sandpaper and it grips you back, but it's not so sharp that it's annoying or that it's sharp on the side of your finger. Granted, I do have, no, actually that side doesn't have a scar. So yeah, yeah, very, very comfortable front flipper as far as the jimping goes. Now, the front flipper does feel a little muted in a way, which gives you a weird feeling because you go to grip it and you think that it's going to be an uncomfortable flip. Just the thickness here, the robustness, how it's kind of angled right here, and it's angled downward instead of, you know, instead of being this way, it's angled this way. But in practice, it works great. Like, the only thing is this reach over right there is a little tight. You're extending pretty far. Some people might not be able to do that. But as far as just a regular front flip or the side finger, it's going to work great. So, you know, you can take that how you want. I would say I would prefer it if it was angled the opposite way, because I do think it would be even better. But just the way it is, just fine. Not a negative at all. Just something that could possibly be improved. This fuller is sharp. And I say this quite often. If you're going to do a fuller, don't do it smooth, right? That just doesn't make sense. If you want it to be functional, I guess if you don't want it to be functional, yes, that's going to create a little bit of drag in the cut. But, you know, sometimes you got to take sacrifices, right? It's like you're going to sacrifice a little bit of smoothness through the cuts for very easy opening access and very comfortable, very fidget friendly action, which in this case I would trade that because it's a deep hollow grind. It's going to cut just fine with the leverage complementing the blade. You're absolutely going to have no problem pushing this through materials, and most likely this little spot right here is going to ramp it up anyways, and material is just going to kind of spread over it. So I don't even know if it'll affect it very much. My goodness, is that smooth. Both of them feel very consistent. This one, maybe not as broken in as this one. I have played with this one a lot more. So this one's definitely not as guillotine as this one. Or sorry, this one is a little bit more guillotine-like than this one, but both of them very smooth. The thumb flick, equally as good as the reverse flick, like so good. I'm not hitting the corner at all. It just lands in a spot where I can crank it out. And you can easily do a slow roll. So yeah, this is a knife that lands exactly where you want it, no matter what. You just pick it up in your finger, whether it's your thumb or your reverse flick, it lands right where you want. So love to see that. And being a bolster lock, you know, it's going to be really good for lefties as well. Now, it does not have a reversible clip, but you know, if you don't care about the clip thing, then yeah, this will work great for you. Now, lots of good here, right? Lots of good here. T8s all the way around. Love to see that. Even on the steel lock bar insert, love to see that. Hidden screw with the clip. Lots of milling on the inside. Well, maybe not a lot, but there's some milling on the inside to bring down the weight. Doesn't feel too heavy in my opinion. What are some negatives? Let's go over some negatives. Let's go over some nitpicks and negatives. We always got some, right? We always get something. So one, you guys are already calling it right now. You guys are screaming it at your camera, or not your camera. I'm screaming at the camera. You guys are screaming at your screen right now. The plunge grind. Yes, the damn plunge grind is no bueno here. We have a tapering plunge grind, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but we have a tapering plunge grind that hits the edge bevel. So here's the edge bevel, as you can see, and the end of the plunge grind is right here, past the edge. You know, if anything, you want to land a little bit before. I want to land a mile away, but you know, at the very least, you know, land it before, but in this case, it lands right after. So I would recommend having this cut out like a circle, just a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to go all the way out to here. It doesn't have to be a finger choil. I'm not saying that. I'm saying literally just like that. So then when you sharpen it, this is going to be the end of the plunge grind. This would be the edge bevel, and you'll see that distance right there, or something like that. You know, I'm not telling them what to do. This is a pre-order, so that might, I'm not sure. I think this is 4 to 6 months out, so it's a pre-order or something like that. That's what the website says. I'm not sure how far they're into it right now, but I imagine they could easily tune that up because the stop pin is placed in such a good spot. It's placed in a spot where you can easily cut in a finger choil if you want, a sharpening choil. That is why I always say, be careful with your stop pins. Pay attention to where your stop pins land. They are so important, and I'm sick of seeing companies fumble the bag on that one. Like, I'm probably going to make a video specifically about this because this is starting to become insane, where companies are placing their stop pins in the worst places possible. And in this case, they did it in the perfect place, out of the damn way. So it opens up the window for you to do whatever you want with the knife. Now, what else? So nitpicks and negatives, you know, we got the sharpen, choil, and plunge grind. That could be better, in my opinion. Next thing is, you know, like I was saying before, the front flipper, it feels a little low, you know, even though it works so well. I can't imagine that I don't know why it would matter. You know what? I wonder if it has to do with the lines. If he's wanting these lines to match or something like that. I'm guessing that's the point, or that's why, because I don't see any reason why it didn't go up higher and then can't down. So that means it'd be probably, you know, like right here when you're doing it. Not a bad thing, but I'm going to nitpick it a little bit, right? Just a little bit of nitpicking. But all in all, man, that's really it. Oh, I have one other little thing. And I want to be clear, I'm not even holding this against this. This is a prototype. This is what prototypes for. I got 4 prototypes with my one from Riat. One of them was absolute garbage. So we have a little bit of lock rock. It's very subtle. This one, they both have it a tiny bit if I muscle it, but this one's way less than this one. Not way, because it's not that, making it seem like it's like a lot. It's not a lot. But this one, you can hear it. So you can hear that lock bar struggling. No failure, but I do feel it. And I imagine, to be honest, if I sit here and start cutting with it and using it and really, really putting it through its paces, it would break right in. Because, you know, as long as the tension is pushing this way, then you know the lock bar is continuing to engage. Now, the geometry of the lock face is what's going to prevent that from happening, if anything. So, if it's adding, you see the engagement right there, where it's like a little bit scratched. So, if the ramp is too much, which maybe that's the case here, it might be just slightly, and I mean so slight, like I don't even want to say like 1,000th, you know, off. Like I bet you if that was just a little tiny bit flatter, it's always going to be at an angle, but just a little tiny bit flatter, that wouldn't even happen. So, you know, it is a very, 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 very small thing that will most likely break in anyways, but I had to bring it up because it is there. Like I said, I'm not going to hold it against it on this one. And, you know, when you're squeezing a frame lock, by the way, you're actually creating way more tension. It's very unlikely your frame lock will ever fail when it's in your hand like this, because you are actually, and it doesn't take very much force to do this. Like you can literally just barely put pressure on a lock bar and it will prevent it from slipping out. So when you're squeezing it, yeah, it's most likely not going to be able to move. But, you know, we're worried about that when your hand's not squeezing it, you know, but not that this knife would ever even be used like that. So, but you know, none of us want a little bit of lock rock. And like I said, this one's very, very subtle. So not a big deal. Anyways, there you guys go. I like it, man. I like it a lot. I think this is absolutely a killer design. And I do want to say that he does also do some leather work. He does wallets and probably a few other things. And from what I've seen, I'm definitely getting one. He's going to make me a, you know, the one that I want. And I think he could do that for you too, if that's something up your alley. They look really, really nice. He has a great selection of amazing, amazing wallets that he makes. And, you know, you can pick the colors and blah, 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 blah. Really, really nice work. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm not going to say it is good work, but from the looks of things, I'm really excited about getting a wallet from him. So you guys could check him out for that. I'll try to link everything I can down in the description. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.